The 9th National Games, hosted by picturesque city of Pokhara, has come to a colourful conclusion after 7 days of competitive sports. Despite managerial lapses, the tournament will go down in the history of national sports as the emergence of some youthful faces, while some women athletes in the twilight of their career did themselves proud. Good morning, I'm Sapsanamma, and these are the headlines of the hour. Second-generation leaders in the main parties pose serious challenge for leadership roadmap. Contestants make most of Dalit votes without considering their plights. Lapses in collaboration between government bodies see Gautam Buddha International Airport fail to operate at its full capacity. Jazeera Air slashes flights, adding challenges to airport's operation. At least 150 killed in the latest ethnic clashes in Sudan's southern Blue Nile state, home to dozens of different ethnic groups where hate speech and racism often frames tribal tensions. And Robert Lewandowski scores career's 600th goal as Barcelona enjoys a routine win over Villarreal. At a time when senior leaders of mainstream parties are engaged in electoral campaigns, presenting themselves as the next leader of the government, second-generation leaders of their parties are aiming to strengthen their position in the party by clinching the parliamentary seats. Nepali Congress Vice President Purna Bahadur Khadka is up against 7 competitors in Surkhet 1. Congress General Secretaries duo Gagan Thapa and Bishwa Prakash Sharma are contesting in Kathmandu 4 and Jhapa 1, while Shekhar Koirala, who had lost in the party's presidential election, is contesting in Morang 6. Meanwhile, according to the statute of CPNUML, the current party chair and senior deputy chair are to quit leadership. This will leave General Secretary Shankar Pokhrel and Deputy Chair Bishnu Podal as main aspirants for party leadership. Pokhrel is contesting in Dang 2 and Podal is a candidate in Rupandehi 2. Deputy General Secretary duo Pradeep Gewali and Prithvi Subba Gurung also are aiming to climb up the party hierarchy. Likewise, in CPN Maoist Centre, General Secretary Dev Gurung and Deputy General Secretaries Barsha Manpun, Janardhan Sharma and Pampha Vusal are aspirants for the top party post. Deputy Chair of CPN Unified Socialists Rajendra Pandey, Deputy General Secretary duo Prakash Jwala, Jagannath Khatiwada and Secretary Ramkumar Jhakri have also been fielded by the ruling alliance. Janata Samajwadi Party's Ashok Rai, Rajkishore Yadav and Rajendra Shrestha are also competing in the lower house election, while second-generation members and aspirants of future leadership of Loktantrik Samajwadi Party are also contesting in the upcoming polls. The Dalit community of Dolakha is a witness to a number of political upheavals in the country. The candidates reach settlements of Dalit communities, providing assurances and alluring votes in every election. The votes casted by these marginalized groups helped candidates to bag parliamentary seats and ministerial posts as well. However, the situation of underprivileged and Dalit communities in rural areas has not gone through desired changes. 68-year-old Ganesh Bahadur Bika, who has difficulty in speaking fluently, was sharpening his sickle outside his old weathered house. The scenario reflects the situation of marginalized group of Dolakha. Dalit communities cast their ballot to choose their representatives in every election. However, the elected candidates have remained indifferent towards improving their condition. Various Dalit settlements in Dolakha are facing drinking water problem as they have to travel for hours to fetch drinking water. Infrastructures of education and health is equally feeble. The political parties, meanwhile, never fail to include these agendas in their election manifestos. The candidates visit these communities only during elections and fail to return to address their issues. There are around 15,000 voters from Dalit community. There is a general call on the public representatives to make efforts to upgrade the living standard of this marginalized group. Welcome back. The government constructed Gautam Buddha International Airport in Bhairawa at an investment of above 30 billion rupees to find an alternative for the Tribhuvan International Airport TIA. However, lapses in collaboration between accountable government entities has seen the airport barely operate at its full capacity. In the meantime, Jazeera Air, which had been holding regular flights for 1 month, has reduced its flights, citing inadequate passengers. This has added further challenges for the operation of the airport. When former Prime Minister late Sushil Koirala laid the foundation stone of the airport 8 years ago, many had expected the airport to develop as a sound alternative to TIA. The airport came into commercial operation 8 years later on the day of Buddha Purnima as Kuwait's Jazeera Air made the first touchdown. Nepali nationals employed abroad and tourism entrepreneurs of surrounding area of the airport were enthused in the initial days of the operation of the airport and flights of Jazeera Air. However, as Jazeera Air reduced its number of flights from last week, citing inadequate passengers, additional challenges have piled up regarding efficient operation of the airport. Nepali migrant workers of the region who are employed abroad are compelled to reach Kathmandu for most works related to the renewal of their work permit. This necessity is unlikely to be erased until all services related to insurance, training and medical tests are available in Bhairahua. The Ministry of Labour has said that it will ensure sound management of the Labour office it had established in Bhairahua 5 months ago to address these issues. Meanwhile, BIZ and Air Arabia have requested for flight permit from Bhairahua. While the government has provided several facilities to attract airline companies for operation from Gautam Buddha International Airport, the reduction in flight from Jazeera is likely to add more challenges for increasing the number of airlines. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what should be done to enhance the commercial capacity of Gautam Buddha International Airport? Your options are A. Attract airline service providers, B. Introduce plans to increase tourism, and C. Ease government services. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Let's move on to the international update. At least 150 people were killed during 2 days of fighting in the latest ethnic clashes over land disputes in Sudan's southern Blue Nile state. The bloodshed is the worst in recent months, and crowds took to the streets of Blue Nile state capital Damazin in protest yesterday, chanting slogans condemning a conflict that has killed hundreds this year. Clashes broke out last week after reported arguments over land between members of the Hausa people and rival groups, with residents reporting hundreds fleeing intense gunfire and homes set ablaze. The fighting has centered around Wad al-Mahi area near Rosaires, 500 kilometers south of capital Khartoum. Officials at the United Nations aid reported an unconfirmed 170 people have been killed and 327 have been injured since the latest unrest began on 13th of October. The Blue Nile is the home to dozens of different ethnic groups, with hate speech and racism often inflaming decades-long tribal tensions. Now, the search for a successor has begun as Liz Truss resigned as Prime Minister after 45 days in office, marked by turmoil, triggering the second Tory leadership election in 4 months. Truss said her successor would be elected by next week after a rebellion by Tory MPs forced her to quit. Boris Johnson is among MPs said to be considering bids, but Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has ruled himself out. Tory MPs revolted against Truss after a series of U-turns on her economic plan sapped her of authority. Truss said she would remain in post until a successor formally takes over as party leader and is appointed Prime Minister by King Charles. Hunt, who was appointed Chancellor last week, will not challenge for leadership. None of the candidates who stood against Truss in the previous contest have indicated whether they would stand. Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of the 1922 Committee of Backbench Conservative MPs, said a new leader could be chosen by next Friday. Under party rules, leadership hopefuls will need to secure the support of 100 MPs in order to enter the contest. This means a maximum of 3 candidates can stand. A first ballot will be held among MPs, and the person with the lowest number of votes will be eliminated if there are 3 candidates. If a second ballot is needed, MPs will be able to signal who they prefer through an indicated vote. And if both candidates opt to stay in the race, the final decision will go to party members via an online vote. Truss will become the shortest serving Prime Minister in British history when she stands down. Now, geographically low-lying country Bangladesh is considered among the most climate-vulnerable countries, with the impact of rising waters compounded by storms, floods and erosion. According to a 2019 International Monetary Fund report, rising sea levels and coastal erosion could cause Bangladesh to lose 17% of its land surface and 30% of food production by 2050. Farmers in the country have now revived an age-old farming technique to cope with the climate change. Mohammad Mostafa, a farmer in the low-lying deltas of southwestern Bangladesh, has revived his forefathers' farming practice of growing crops on floating rafts as rising seas and storm flooding threaten more and more farmland. With prolonged waterlogging posing an increasing threat to families growing their own food, more have turned to using the rafts as secure platforms to start seedlings and grow vegetables and fruit. The rafts, woven from the stems of invasive hyacinths, are providing a lifetime for families during the increasingly extreme monsoon seasons when dry land can be especially scarce.
When I was a boy, this area was dry land. We used to play in the fields and grow rice. But with the water levels rising in both the sea and river, water started to accumulate here, so we can't cultivate crops anymore. I have been growing seedlings on floating beds for the past 5 years, growing seedlings of different vegetables.
The 200-year-old technique was initially adopted by farmers in the region during the flooding season, which used to last about 5 months each year. Nowadays, the area remains underwater for 8 to 10 months and more land is being flooded. Floating farms now cover a total of 120 hectares, up from 80 hectares 5 years ago. The approach, now practiced by some 6,000 subsistence farmers, scientists say, may prove crucial as climate change sends sea levels higher and makes the monsoons more erratic. More than a quarter of Bangladesh's population of 165 million live in the coastal zone. Between 2000 and 2019, the Global Climate Risk Index 2021 ranked Bangladesh 7th in a list of countries hit hardest by climate change. The 9th National Games, which was held in the Gandaki province, has concluded. The mega sporting fiesta concluded by handing over 10th edition of the event to Karnali province. Trivada Army Club finished as the champions of the event with a medal haul of 371, including the highest 172 gold, 110 silver and 89 bronze medals. Prime Minister Sherbandhu Dewa addressed the closing ceremony held in Pokhara. Premier Dewa said that a conducive environment had to be created to ensure timely organization of the mega event. He went on to add that the death of an athlete during paragliding event of the Games was unfortunate. Deceased Nishim Thapa has been awarded an honorary medal, while the National Sports Council has decided to build his statue in the Pokhara Stadium premises. Also addressing the closing ceremony, Sports Minister Maheshwar Gahatraj expressed commitment of avoiding mistakes in days ahead. Teams that had competed at the Games participated in the March past. The closing ceremony also included cultural performances. The 10th edition of the Games will be held in Karnali province between November 17 and 24 in 2024. In our Public Voice segment, we've asked in several provinces regarding people's take on the 9th National Games. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
जुन यहाँको फेसिलिटी छ विदेशीको जस्तै हुँदैछ सफा छ यो आउँदाखेरि
हाम्रो जिल्लामा खेलकुद भयो राम्रो लाग्यो
कुन गेम कहाँ भएछ भन्ने कुरा जानकारी पनि पाएको छैन
क्रेज फाइनल भनेर ल यो फाइनल हो भन्ने जस्तो चाहिँ भएन
Robert Lewandowski scored the 600th and 601st goals of his career as Barcelona enjoyed a routine win over Villarreal. Barca, who lost 3-1 at Real Madrid on Sunday, hit 3 goals in 7 minutes at the end of the first half. He has also scored 76 goals in 134 international matches for Poland. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.